Hello everyone. I'm going to provide perhaps a little background on this Bricks and Minifigs scandal, dispute, kerfuffle. And the background I'm going to provide is what is a consignment sale. So when you do a consignment, essentially you retain title to the piece of property that you give to the seller until it's sold to a third party. So legal definition is a consignment is a commercial arrangement in which an owner, the consignor, delivers goods to another party for purposes of sale while retaining title to the goods still sold. The consignee acts as the consignor's agent for purposes of sale, remitting the proceeds less a commission upon sale and returning unsold goods. This is a legally recognized arrangement. Article 9 of the Uniform Commercial Code, that is a statute that's been adopted in all U.S. states, is the primary governing framework for consignment sales. A consignment is defined as a transaction in which a person, consignor, delivers goods to a merchant, consignee, for purposes of sale. The merchant deals in goods of that kind under a name other than the consignor's. The merchant is not an auctioneer, and the value of each delivery is $1,000 or more. If those elements are met, it is treated as a secured transaction, and the consignor, the owner, must perfect its interest by filing a UCC 1 financing statement to protect against the consignee's creditors and lien holders. Okay, so let's try to make this tangible. I do a consignment sale of a bunch of toy soldiers. I provide them to the merchant. We will assume that the value of these soldiers is $1,000 or more. The merchant and I come to some type of agreement under which, when each one is sold, I will get a certain amount of the money and he will get a certain amount. The point of it is the UCC financing statement is to protect my interest in the goods if something happens in the interim. I consign a bunch of toy soldiers, the toy soldier store goes bankrupt, becomes insolvent, the store owner is evicted. I still, in theory, have my right to the proceeds. So when you come in, let's say you're a creditor of the store, you come in to levy upon the store's assets, you want to enforce your judgment, you would find my UCC financing statement and you would say, this toy soldier really belongs to Clinton and we're going to send it back to him or make arrangements for him to pick it up. That's the point of the consignment sale, is that the original owner, me, I don't lose title to the item until it's sold to a third party. The advantage of these transactions is, for the merchant, they don't have to outlay a lot of cash on the transaction at the beginning of the transaction. So let's say in this case, the Bricks and Minifigs people say we gave them $100,000 of Legos. Well, they didn't have to pay out $100,000. They kept them, and they paid the amount out gradually as they sold the Legos. Now, this is my opinion as to how this went awry. Franchisee owner number 1 of the Bricks and Minifigs store in Oregon made an agreement with the family, took the Legos, and apparently was paying them as she sold them. In other words, she was keeping good records, what was sold, what wasn't, and she was remitting them money. When the new franchisee took the store over, that person stepped into her shoes and became the consignee, the two men who bought the store. Somewhere in their process, the record keeping broke down, and the records, the family has records that say, we sold you Legos A, B, and C, what happened to them? And the store was unable to render a good account of what happened to them. There are many reasons that could be, but the most obvious one is people came in and bought stuff, they forgot to write it down, and they forgot to take care of keeping good records. So there's sloppy record keeping. Then they tell the family, and the company handled the matter in a way that was clunky. They criticized the family. They said it wasn't a good agreement, and they basically said, we're not going to, comply with this. So they said, sorry, tough luck, it's tough to be you. And then that YouTuber got involved and made more things, and they obliged him by foolishly arresting him. So they allowed the dispute to kind of spiral out of control. But the underlying core of the mess is bad record keeping. They don't have good quality controls over their own inventory, so they know what they own, what the consignor owned, which items were sold. And franchisee number one, the person who was terminated, apparently kept good records, at least based on the news stories. So somewhere in this process of the transfer of the store between franchisee one and the new franchisees, the record keeping broke down, and the consignor, the family, said, hey, where's our money? And instead of responding with, we goofed, they responded with a bunch of bad ideas, because this is a legal transaction. This is a legal appropriate consignment sale, and they did not handle this appropriately. But it's almost always in these cases a failure of record keeping. Record keeping was bad. They don't know what was sold, they don't know what they owe, and their reaction was to get angry and blow up at people rather than saying to themselves, how can we make this situation, how can we clean up this mess? So those are my thoughts on the Bricks and Minifigs scandal from a legal perspective. This is an old-fashioned consignment sale, and this is bad record keeping by the consignee that caused this fiasco. Thank you very much.